Hello and welcome back to Grapple Theory. Thanks so much for joining us once again. Now we've got a very exciting guest for you today. He's the current TNT Ultra X champion. He's also in a metal band. And as well as all of that, he also has a regular job as well, which is crazy. I don't know how he has the time for it all. He's also a huge advocate for mental health. We'll be talking to him about the importance of that, about his wrestling career, about his music career, and about much, much more. So stay tuned. It's going to be a very exciting show. We're delighted to welcome Scotty Rawk to the show. Scotty, thanks for joining us. How's everything been going?
Honestly, as I say, it's just been super busy these past couple of weeks. I feel like everything's just been really non-stop.
No, I can imagine. Like, I totally understand that. Like, just you guys working during the day and then wrestling and then doing all that over the weekends, and obviously you were wrestling last night as well. I mean, I can't even imagine how hectic that schedule is.
Yeah, so if my throat sounds a little bit sore, it's because I think I absolutely blow my voice over the weekend.
No, that's totally understandable, absolutely. And we should say we're filming this after Catch Enigma series, which was held the previous Monday from when we're recording this, or from when this is going out. So talk to us about that Monday night show. How was that?
It was sick. I really enjoyed it. I sort of went into it like, not dreading it, but like I went in there sort of feeling a little bit sort of apprehensive. I was like, how's Catch going to draw on a Monday night? And like, I'd heard from like Ben and Scott that like they might not have necessarily done as well as they did on the Saturday shows and stuff. But I mean, all the boys on the card like went out there and absolutely killed it. So like there was a big sort of morale boost in the locker room backstage. We were just saying that like we all absolutely came together tonight and put on a belter. So the people that were there last night will go away, tell their mates, and bring back maybe double the figures that we had last night. So it was sick. We did the job.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask about that because that's really weird. Because like, especially indie wise, you don't see a lot of Monday night shows. That's just not really a done thing. Like, did it feel weird as a performer, like turning up on a Monday, being like, "Is this right? Am I meant to be here?"
It didn't feel. It didn't feel unnatural, but it just felt like a long weekend. Like for me, it felt like a bit of like a bank holiday.
Sure.
Because obviously I was there with Lucy on Saturday for Wrestle Carnival. Then we both had Spirit on Sunday, and then we had Catch on Monday. So we've had like a full weekend of it. The only like sort of night we weren't wrestling was Friday, and that's when I was like working behind the bar, like I was shutting the bar. So it's just been absolutely manic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little bit odd sort of getting there a little bit later and people sort of, I think the doors were like 7. So I think people like all of us lot were there sort of about sort of 5:45 time. Because obviously people had just finished work and stuff. But yeah, no, it was nice. It had a little bit like a Tuesday night Graps feel.
Nice.
So it was quite cool. It was enjoyable.
Yeah. I mean, how do you like balance all that in terms of finding time for yourself as well when you're that manic, when you got to work, and then you've got shows all weekend and you're doing the travel and all that. How do you manage to find that sort of downtime as well?
Oh mate, it's ridiculous. Like I'm a big sort of preacher of like self-care and self-love and like looking after your mental health. But in my instance, like it's when I don't have things to concentrate on that I start to sort of have a little bit of like a mental dip or a little bit of a wobble. Like like they say diamonds are made under pressure, and like I'm constantly busy. Like some of my friends at work have said the same. They're like, "How do you do it?" Because literally, if I'm not at the barge, I'm wrestling. If I'm not wrestling, I'm in the gym. Like, so there's maybe one evening a week that I get to sit down with Lucy and like we'll light some candles, we'll watch a scary film, like I'll go and have a nice bath when I'm not sort of like rushed off my feet. But yeah, it is a healthy balance.
Yeah,
I find, as I say, I find when my mind's the busiest, that's when I sort of feel the best.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You mentioned sort of like the self-care there, and we'll touch back on that a bit later as well. But that is really important, isn't it? Especially when you're hectic, like when your schedule's so manic, no matter whether it's you or anyone else, to find those things, whether it's like you say, sort of just chilling with your partner, having a bath or something, or whatever it is you do to relax as someone who's that busy, to find that time for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously, I did a lot of stuff with Train with Nush over lockdown and through the last year and stuff. And I actually sort of helped him deliver like a self-care seminar type thing, like over Zoom. And it was all just about like, you know, putting the brakes on every now and then. Like, if you do become a little bit overwhelmed, it's okay to sort of take a step back and be like, you know what, sort of maybe I can ask for, you know, if I can finish work a couple of hours early, or like maybe like I'm not saying go out there and pull a sickie because you're not feeling great, but like it's more important to look after yourself and make sure that you're on top form. Like no one gets paid, like no one should have to kill themselves like to work for minimum wage. Don't run yourself into the ground. Like really take those moments that you can. Because it's super, super important. Like to me, for me, self-care is like I live in Cleethorpes, so I'm right by the seaside. My little self-care spot is driving down to the beach late at night when it's pitch black, and you can just sit there, turn everything off, and like listen to the water. I find that really grounding. But even silly stuff like, as you say, running a nice bath. Making sure that like you moisturize after your bath, like looking after your skin, looking after your hair, looking after yourself, more importantly, you know, keeping your house tidy. I mean, like before we went to catch yesterday, me and Lucy had a bit of a bedroom blitz because we've been living like absolute dossers since wrestling's come back, and obviously we've been really, really busy because obviously she works like practically a full-time job and I work practically full-time at a bar, and when I'm not there, like we're both at wrestling shows, so we had a bit of a clear out in the bedroom yesterday, and it was healthy environment, healthy mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And again, I mean, obviously we've talked about being busy, but you must be sort of glad to be busy after the last sort of year and a half that's been with barely any wrestling. It must be nice to be back to it now.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like as I say, I feel like, as I say, the world kind of stopped in the last 18 months, but obviously our lives kept going. So like I was talking to like a couple of the lads at Wrestle Carnival about it, and there was like, it's been difficult because it's 18 months of your prime. You know what you mean? Like, like we have lost 18 months, and we have like not only sort of lost income from our jobs, but we've lost our second income from wrestling. We've lost income from merch sales. We've lost income from a hell of a lot of things, because obviously you can't go out there and sort of expect people to, you know, buy your t-shirts when they're not getting money, like full wage themselves. So yeah, like I feel like I kept myself kind of sane. Lockdown was really, I described it as, for some people it was either a prison or it was a paradise. I feel like it was very long overdue, and I mean, as much as it sucked, like we're never ever going to get that time off work again. We're never going to get 18 months to ourselves. And yes, it was shit because a lot of things were closed and we couldn't like go out and enjoy it like it was, you know, you were a kid enjoying the summer holidays. But it was time that we could sort of knuckle down and concentrate on different things. So like me and Lucy started talking a lot more at the beginning of the first lockdown, and then we got together and then we had the discussion of like, I don't want to mess about here. Like, I want to make a go of things, and I want things to be serious. At the time, I was living with my friend and his girlfriend, so I was like the constant third wheel in like a rented house. And Lucy was living with her parents, so I was like, the only way that we can spend time together during this period, because we don't know how long this lockdown's going to last. We were told at the beginning it was 4 weeks. It ended up being like 16 months.
Yeah.
So we was like, we don't know how long this is going to last. So we were like, the best option for us, really, if we really want to make a go of things and, you know, start the rest of our lives, is we're going to have to move in together. And that's when I turned around and was like, I completely agree, but I don't want to rent. So that's when we started looking for houses, and as I say, through lockdown, we made the big move and moved in together, and now I'm stuck with her for the next 30 years with a mortgage. So,
well, that's the thing, isn't it? Is like, despite all the hardship that came with it, like you say, something like that comes out of it is a blessing that can come out of it.
Yeah, it really was, and as I say, sort of Lucy really, really kept me sane, and she was a big part of lockdown for me. And obviously, I know like a lot of people follow us both on social media, so we actually had people when wrestling shows did come back, and we were turning up to wrestling shows together, because obviously before lockdown, like, we weren't together, so we turned up to wrestling shows sort of hand in hand. And people came up to us and they were like, "Your little lockdown love story, like, really helped me through lockdown, because we were
nice.
living almost vicariously through you both," and that was really cute. So, other than that, it was a case of like, how can I prepare myself to come back to wrestling in the best way possible? And that was when I joined like Train with Nush and the 36-week physique program, and I became almost obsessive with it, which, I feel like people obsess over a lot of different things, and I mean, fitness isn't necessarily the most unhealthy thing to obsess about, I guess. But I'm very much an all or nothing person. Like, if I've signed up to something, or if I'm going into, let's just say, a new relationship, or like being with Lucy, we had a mortgage together within the first year, which is absolutely mental. I'm very much an all or nothing person. Like, give 100%, get 100% in return. So yeah, I became a little bit sort of like borderline obsessed with fitness and with nutrition, and I got some really good results at the end of it. And like, I feel a lot better. I move a lot better. Like, I stopped drinking through lockdown as well. Like, which when we sort of came back to work and I was working in a bar, like, everyone behind the bar was like, "Who is this man? Like, where is the boy that left? Like, who is the man that's come back?" And so, like, again, it's a case of everything I find is okay in moderation. So I don't know, maybe once a week I might have a shandy. Like, I might stay behind work and have a shandy with them and things. But like, I was a massive drinker when I was sort of 18, 19.
Sure.
And now it's literally, as I say, like, it's a once in a blue moon occurrence, and even then it's a shandy. So it's not like it's.
Yeah. No, shandy's a throwback. I haven't had a shandy in ages.
Oh, honestly, the most refreshing drink in the world.
It is. Yeah, for sure. I'm not a huge beer guy, but I like a shandy because the lemonade sort of cuts it. But I don't really like beer generally. I've never been that.
Take the edge off the lemonade.
Yeah, exactly. That way, just don't taste the beer as much. I don't get people that like the taste of beer. I can't. I've never understood that in my mind. I just don't get the taste of beer at all.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I never really liked the taste of beer. It was just a case of like, we talk about self-care and we talk about like coping mechanisms and stuff. And when I was 18, 19, it wasn't a case of, oh, I'm having a drink to enjoy a drink. It was, I'm having a drink because I don't care about myself. I'm drinking to get wasted and sort of forget who I am for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah,
and then wake up in the morning and feel even worse. So when you do that, it's a case of you wake up in the morning, you feel even worse, you have another beer to take the edge off, and it's just this like vicious cycle. And it was when I was 19, I think my mental health was really bad. Sort of intrusive thoughts of suicide and things like that. And I drank to the point where like I gave myself a stomach ulcer.
Wow.
So that sucked. Like, I went to, I can't remember which year it was. It must have been like Slam Dunk 2017, right. 2016, the year that Shikari headlined.
Yeah.
And my friends were like, "Why aren't you drinking?" And I was like, "Because I've really done myself a mischief here." I was like, I can't have a pint because it burns.
That bad?
Like, yeah, it wasn't great. But it was only then that like I sort of realised that I had a bit of a problem, and that's when I started to, open up to people. Like, I opened up to my mum, and I opened up to like my best friend who is also like a wrestler, and we sort of had the sit down conversation. And he turned to me and he just said, like, do you want to be a professional wrestler? And I was like, well, yeah, like, otherwise, why would I do it? And he was like, well, you need to start looking after yourself then. He said it in maybe like harsher words than that, a little bit of tough love, like basically like get a fucking grip. But but yeah, it was the kick up the arse that I needed.
Yeah.
And I feel like I really sort of started to sort myself out from that. And obviously we all just became closer, and I became a little bit healthier and like cut back on drinking. But as I say, it wasn't until lockdown that I pretty much stopped drinking altogether. But yeah, it was from that obviously I started doing my work with mental health.
Yeah.
So I had like, because I've always been quite open about it. I've always been open about like struggles and strifes and, you know, like what we all go through. And I think it was a tweet that got noticed. Just something about like, you know, looking after yourself, because, you know, you're at the end of the day, you're the only person that you've got. And it was picked up by someone that works for Joe.co.uk.
Oh yeah.
And they just slid in my DMs, and they was like, oh, like, do you mind if we do an interview with you? And we want to take we want to get your perspective on wrestling and mental health issues, and why, like, basically, like, why have you posted this tweet? Like, it must be something sort of close to your heart or on your mind or something. And I was like, yeah, sound like, I sort of was like, you know, I'll talk to anyone about anything, like, to open up that conversation. I thought it was just like, I don't think I know like the extent of what Joe was. I thought it was just like some guy doing like some kind of like college project or uni project, and like I was helping him with his dissertation or something like that.
Little bigger than that, little bigger.
Yeah, a little bit bigger. Yeah. And I think the article that I featured on, he interviewed like two wrestlers about how wrestling sort of helped them with their mental health. And I think it was an article that was pretty much just me and Ridgway. So he interviewed me, and he must have interviewed Chris Ridgway and put the article out there, and it ended up getting something ridiculous like 2 million views. And it was from that I was contacted by Ted to go up to Newcastle College and do a TED talk. And then it was from that TED talk that I was contacted by BBC Radio 1. And then we sort of did it was like a documentary podcast type thing. So it was like half the insides of wrestling, and then half like my personal life, like my mental health. And it was very much like, it was weird because like, as much as I hate it, it was very much like centered around me. But I feel as though if I can be open and honest and sort of wear my heart on my sleeve like I do in regards to things like that, then all it takes is for your story to resonate with one person, and that one person could reach out and get help, or like, you know, like you never know if a conversation can save a life.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I've had conversations that have saved my life. So.
Yeah, and it must be nice to sort of, like you say, although it's sort of tricky and odd being sort of that person that everyone's talking to be put in that position, it must be nice to know that, you know, you might be making a difference out there. Like you say, you know, one person listens to it and it changes their life, then it's all worth it. Yeah,
like the thing that I thought was really cool, but also like genuinely terrified me, was when I went and did the TED Talk in Newcastle. They were like doing the run sheet, and it was like, you're going to talk at this time, and like so and so is going to follow you, and so they had about, I don't know, a dozen speakers, and I was the only person that wasn't a doctor or a published author or like a well-known sort of like radio representative. Like I was the only person that sort of in my eyes, normal's the wrong word, but I was the only person that wasn't like, didn't match up to their caliber.
Yeah.
I don't have a PhD in like mental health or psychology. I don't have a book that I've published. Like, I'm not on the airwaves regularly. So like, I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like this like literally like one of these things is not like the other. And I felt as though I was going to stand out like a sore thumb. And it wasn't until after I'd done my speech that I had sort of a lot of people in the audience come up to me and talk to me and was like, "Thank you so much for doing what you've done today. Like, you felt really real, you felt really genuine, and like it was almost as though like we could see your heart." And so yeah, I think being genuine really resonates with people.
Yeah.
Even if you aren't like a doctor or a published author, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't there throwing facts and figures and statistics and stuff. I was just telling people my story in almost like a completely one-sided narcissistic therapy session, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, isn't it? Is like, because you sort of picked up on it there, but we've spoken to other wrestlers who have said, like you, likewise, sort of wrestling can sort of save your life in the fact that it gives you something to work towards and to do like that. But also, I mean, just the grind, just the grind that like you go through with it, working a day job and then being on the road at the weekends doing show after show, that grind can also take a toll on you, even though it can be beneficial for you to begin with.
Yes, I suppose so. Like, I can really tell that you're here to ask the hard hitting questions, and I like it.
Well, yeah, we try and get into all of it, but that's the thing, is it's mainly because like you're very open about being an advocate for it, and so I'm just curious to sort of dig into that mindset of can it be both a positive and a negative?
I suppose it's very much a game of balance. It's very much a tipping scale. Because rest is super important, and like you ask anyone and they say like, you're like, how are you? And they say, yeah, I'm fine, I'm just tired. Like, it's the 21st century. Everyone's tired. We're always tired. Like, it's not just a millennial thing. Like, everyone is always tired, and everyone could always do with like an extra hour in bed. So yeah, it is that balance, and it is that sort of that fine line between sort of doing just enough and doing too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I know I've just said that. I've just done sort of. I did like a full week at work last week. I closed the bar on Friday night, so I didn't get out of work till about 2. Saturday morning, and then we were on the road to go to Wrestle Carnival on Saturday, and then we were on the road to go to Spirit in Sheffield on Sunday, and then we were on the road to go to Catch on Monday, like yesterday, and then I'm back at work today. I'm back at work tomorrow. I'm back at work Thursday. Like, it is very full on, and then in between there, you've got to sort of prioritize. Do I go to the gym? Do I sort of, work out and be the best possible product I can be? Or do I take a moment to, put that on the back burner a little bit and look after myself? Like, get a bath, have enough sleep, have a decent meal. Like, because when you're on the road and stuff, like, it is very much like, oh, there's a services there, let's go in there and, grab a 0 sugar Sprite and a protein bar, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a fine line, but I'm very grateful to have like a very understanding partner, a very understanding family, and a very understanding work. So like, obviously wrestling shows primarily are Friday and Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Guess when the prime time is to work in a bar?
I wonder.
Friday,
yeah,
Friday and Saturday night. So I'm very, very grateful, and I'm very, very lucky to have such an understanding work team. That allow me to sort of go off and I don't have to, if someone says, "Oh, are you available for this show?" I don't have to just be like, beg, steal, and borrow shifts. You know what I mean? Which is a position that I was in before, and I wasn't wrestling like nearly as much as I am now before lockdown, and I felt like I was being a real inconvenience whenever I had to ask for time off. But like, now that I've changed bars and it's more like it's an independent run pub. It's like massive family vibes, and I dig it. It's really genuinely lovely, and as I say, it's one of them where like I've spoken to like the people that I work with and things like that, and I'm quite happy working, in a bar Monday to Thursday, and then being able to go and wrestle at a weekend, because wrestling is the career that I want to excel in.
Sure.
Like, I don't necessarily Like, I know people talk about like dead end jobs and things like that, and maybe bar work is that, but in the same sense, like, I don't want another career other than wrestling.
Yeah.
So as long as I can consistently sort of pay the bills with bar work, and I can consistently wrestle and improve my game and get out there for more promotions and get eyes on me and be noticed by, you know, like the bigs and the best.
Yeah, that's what you need.
That's where I want to be.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Well, we've touched on, like you say, the hard hitting stuff. So let's get back to your in ring work, because obviously lockdown ended, wrestling came back, and for yourself, it sort of came back with quite a bang, because, you know, like you say, you know, it seems like loads of posters I see you on now, loads of match cards I see you on now, and you've got a new title to go with it.
I'm only on posters because people think I'm dead pretty.
You're the face that brings them in.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like, it was odd. So before lockdown, I was at the point where, like, I was wrestling for BWR regularly because BWR is like my hometown.
Yeah.
And I was maybe getting my face out there at a couple of different promotions. Like, I know that I'd done. I did a show for Tidal. I'd done a show for North, and we did a couple of like the BWR versus Rise story that was going on. Like, we did that. So my face was at Rise a little bit, but it wasn't consistent work. Like, it was maybe other than a BWR show, like, because that was consistent. Like, it was BWR like sort of once a month, and then it was like maybe one other booking every 3 months or so. Like, and when lockdown hit, I was like, oh, like, I'm finally getting out there a little bit. Like, I was in talks with like more dates at North, and I was in talk with more dates for like different companies and different promotions and things. So I was like, I'm finally getting out there. Like, I'm sort of grafting away. I'm doing my bit. And then lockdown hit, and I was like, oh,
worst timing. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I spent lockdown basically sort of, as I say, doing what most people did. Like, the only thing, we couldn't wrestle, so the only way that we could really sort of sell ourselves as a product, as a wrestler, and sort of get eyes on us was through social media. And then social media became like the most toxic place on the planet.
Yeah. Like,
Twitter is a cesspit at the end of the day. Like,
it is. That's the harsh reality, isn't it? It's such a good sort of, like, you know, I guess, publicity mechanism for you, especially like as someone like a wrestler or something. But it's also just not a great place to be at all.
No, 100%. Like, I do feel like it gave everyone a voice. And yes, that is a beautiful thing. Freedom of speech is a beautiful thing, and people's opinions and people's thoughts and things like that is honestly like the world coming together at the touch of your fingers. But it also gave people a voice that have a lot of hatred inside them. And it gave people a voice to sort of spread hatred and just shit on people. And that's sort of where you find that you know, you end up in like everyone's been involved in a Facebook argument, like whether it be with like angry Facebook vegans or angry Facebook anti-vaxxers or anything like that. Like, everyone's got an opinion on something, and like there's always someone that has the opposing opinion to you. But like, imagine the Facebook argument on Twitter, like, where the entire world can see you. Like, you don't necessarily have to have someone on your friends list. Like, Twitter's open for business for everyone, man. But yeah, like, as I say, I said to Lucy, I was like, if I wasn't a professional wrestler, and if I wasn't trying to sort of promote myself and get myself out there as much as I could do, I'd have deleted social media a long time ago.
Yeah, no, totally get you.
As you say earlier on, like, how do you find that balance?
Yeah.
Like, how do you find that fine line of, you know, you can be sucked into a Twitter thread of just absolute drivel. Like, 1 minute you're looking at like funny TikToks of like cats that are falling into a bath and you know, like shitting themselves and running away and like, oh yeah, this is a great place. I love the internet. And the next thing you know, you're reading like a 30-page like Twitter thread of like racism, homophobia, and just like the dregs of society.
Yeah, it switches so quick. The switch is just like that, isn't it? It's just
And as soon as it really is. And as you say, like social media is a great tool, and it's created work for people like yourselves. So not only is it connecting people, but it's also like paying people's bills. But yeah, like it's that fine balance, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, in terms of more positive things, let's talk about the TNT Ultra X division title, because you picked that up, obviously. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So in doing my research for this, it looks like is this your first singles belt?
Yeah,
it is. So I mean, how did that feel? Because obviously you won tag belts in BWR, like you say. I mean, how did that feel to lift a belt on your own? Does it feel different? Is it a different feeling?
Yeah, it really is. Like as I say, when wrestling sort of came back, like I was under the impression that like, you know, nothing was going to pick up where it left off, and I'd have to put the legwork in like from the bottom and work my way up again. Not only that, but like the lad that I was tagging with like left wrestling completely during lockdown. So I was like, oh, well, everyone knows me as a tag wrestler, so am I going to be taken seriously as a singles wrestler? Do I have to repackage myself? Do I have to change things? Do I have to like do almost like a rebrand? And it was weird, like for a little while, and then like sort of as it came back around to it, I was like, well, I'm ready. Like I'm more ready than I've ever been, and so when things started to come back and I was like, well, you know, things might not pick up where they left off, and then I ended up looking at my calendar and I was like, I've accepted all these bookings. Like I looked at my calendar and I was like, I'm literally wrestling every weekend, sometimes twice a weekend, sometimes 3 nights on the bounce like we've just done. And I think like I've wrestled more since coming back than I've ever wrestled in my life, and it's great. So when I got like the booking for TNT, so obviously I made my debut at their Ignition show. It was the debut at their Ignition like Rumble.
Yeah.
That was really cool, and I spoke to Jay Apter, and he was like, "Oh right, like you've blown us away here. Like not only are you like great at what you do, like you're willing to give everything you've got for British independent wrestling. Not only that, but like you're a fucking nice guy." And I was like, "Oh, like thank you, genuinely." Like,
yeah,
I do appreciate that, because like if you ask Lucy, she'll say I'm a knobhead. So. In the most loving way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was really cool to then sort of make the move from Ignition to go and work on them like main shows. They're over 18 Extreme shows.
Yeah.
Then he sent me the match graphic, and he was like, "By the way, like we're putting you straight into this title match, and it's you versus Kid Like Us 2." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Hang on. Are you sure? Like this is only my second show that I'm working with you guys, like." And he was like, "Nah, you deserve it, mate. Like you've been grafting your ass off, and honestly, like you've done more than enough for me and for like promoting the shows and things like that." And I was like, "Oh right, cool. Like I appreciate that." And then it was turned into that 4-way. So it was me versus Kid Like Us 2 versus Derice versus Ethan Allen. And I was like, I am in this 4-way with 3 lads that are considered the best like talent in the UK right now.
Yeah.
Like all 3 of those boys are on Progress. All 3 of those boys are at Rev Pro. Like, and they, like they're, as I say, they're considered to be the best in the country right now. Like whether it's up and coming or whether it's established, like they might be young lads, but like they're phenomenal at what they do. So to then like pick up a victory and pick up the belt at the end of the night, like it's an overwhelming feeling. It really is. And like it was really nice because like my mum, so my mum comes to all the local shows, but she doesn't often like venture out, if you know what I mean.
Sure. Yeah.
But she's like, I want to come to as many shows as I can. It's just like mobility issues and transport issues and stuff. And I was like, right, well, we'll make a day of it because I had Tidal early on.
Sure.
So I did Tidal in the afternoon, the matinee show, and then I've like scooted straight over to TNT and did TNT. So I was like, well, I've got 2 shows in one day. I was like, Mum, get in the car, let's go. So me and Lucy and my mum went to those shows. And just being able to like, so it's my mum's like first out of town like external show that she'd been to, and like TNT is always a blinding show.
Yeah,
so
that's quite a show to go to as well as like an out of town show. TNT is that's intense.
Yeah. I mean, like before the 4-way match, you had like Clint Majera and Session Moth in a death match, and that was incredible. Like they battered each other. It was one of the best death matches I think I've ever seen live.
Wow.
But yeah, to then sort of like go out there and literally give everything I've got against 3 of the best lads in British wrestling right now, just to prove to myself more than anything that you know I do belong.
Yeah,
I can hang with these boys and I can hold my own. To pick up a win and then like walk out with the belt, like Greenwood like gave me the belt. And I rolled over, tears in my eyes, and locked eyes with my mum and locked eyes with Lucy, and that was it. We were just bawling. Emotion in those moments gets the better of you, and I don't think it's there's any shame in admitting that, and like you shouldn't hide away from emotion. As I say, like being genuine and being transparent and being a real person has got me to where I am today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think if I was to mask who I was, it'd be unfair to me, but it'd be unfair to the fans as well because like they've paid to see like me. They've paid to see Scotty Rawk and they come to shows to sort of, you know, to immerse themselves in it. So I feel like if you're giving 110% and you get an emotional reaction, embrace that. But not only that, like in that moment when you hold that belt, you realise like shit, I'm now the face of TNT's Ultra X division. Like they think I can carry their cruiserweight division.
Yeah,
which is mental. Like it's great. Like it's overwhelming in the sense that like they feel as though I'm good enough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like they have full faith in me.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the thing, isn't it? Because we've spoken to a couple of other wrestlers like Roy Johnson and Debbie Cattell, who talk about their sort of like powerlifting careers and how in powerlifting it's the case that, you know, if you're the best, you know you're the best because you've lifted the most. Whereas in wrestling, you know, you're actually having, you know, a promoter physically come and tell you, you know, we want you to be the head of this division, this company. And that's got to be a very different feeling to sort of being the best because you've sort of proven you're the best in a numerical sense, say with powerlifting, like by lifting the most. It's got to be a very different feeling to have someone come up to you and be like, we want you to be the face because we think you're the best for the job.
Exactly. And I mean, it's TNT. Like, it's, I would argue, like, one of the biggest, if not the biggest British independent promotion that's not, like, signed to a contract to a company, like, to the higher powers, so to speak. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, without naming names. But like I would argue it's one of, if not the biggest British independent promotion like going.
Even with those names in, I'd put it in the top 5. Even with those names in, quite easily.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's a place that I wanted to be. Like it's a place that I feel really fits me. Because it is for the edgier wrestling fan. It is for the goths and the geeks to go on like a Saturday night and enjoy like some extreme wrestling and sort of wow the crowd. And yeah, to have then turn around to me and be like, "We have full faith in you.
Yeah,
we believe in you, and now you're spearheading our like cruiserweight division, and you've now got the belt." Like, it's baffling, and as you say, like, you don't, as much as we joked earlier on, like, you don't get used to seeing your own face on a poster. And so, like, they've got the show in, I know they've got Extreme Fields at the end of October, and they've got the Little Show of Horrors on Halloween. But like next month, in November, they're running a show called Cold Day in Hell.
Right.
And like they've released the poster for that already, and I'm like front and center, and I'm like, what is my mugshot doing there? Like, it's just me.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about, because you mentioned the October show, and this will probably go up before the October show takes place. To talk to me about that, how much you're looking forward to that. You know, a Halloween show, a Halloween wrestling show is just, that's like prime time, isn't it, for a wrestling show, when you can, you know, get in that sort of spooky season, you can dress up if you want, something like that. And yeah, it just seems like it's a great time for a wrestling show, especially.
Yeah, definitely. And it's mad. Like, I've said from day one, like, how cool would it be to wrestle Halloween weekend? And like, I've had all these ideas like over the years of like, oh, if I get booked on a wrestling show near Halloween, like, I'm going to dress up as this, and I'm going to do this gimmick, and I'm going to do that, and it's going to be really cool. And like, even like to entertain myself, because I love Halloween. Like, you know what I mean? Like, autumn is my favorite season. Like, my birthday's in November. Like, so like it's literally it's Halloween, it's bonfire night, it's my birthday, then it's Christmas, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's great. And then it got to it, and TNT were like, yeah, we're doing this doubleheader show. We're doing Extreme Fields on October 30th, and then we're doing Little Show of Horrors on the 31st. And I'm just like, I know I've spoken about this for years, but like, what do I wear?
It's like you think about it for so long, and then it actually happens, and you're like, oh no, now I actually have to do it because I've spoken.
Exactly. Like, and I don't want to half-ass it, and like, you know, come out in just like my normal wrestling gear and have like a Jason hockey mask on. That's lame. Like, I want to go out there in like full fancy dress. Like, not only that, but they're doing a best dressed like Halloween competition. So like, I want to win that. Like, you know? without
any sort of spoilers or anything, have you thought of something yet, or are you still all in the works of it?
I've had some ideas, and I'm currently in the headspace of like, you know, it's two different shows. Do I find two different costumes? Do I go with two different characters? Like, but yeah, the Amazon order is on the way.
Nice.
Like, we'll leave it there.
We'll look forward to seeing that.
Definitely.
Yeah, that'll be good. I mean, I'm gutted I can't get to it. It was like, I'm unfortunately busy that weekend, but like football-wise, I'm a Brighton fan. And Brighton are playing Liverpool at Anfield that afternoon. And I was like, I'd love to go to that, then go to the TNT show. But I got plans that weekend, so I can't make it. It's really upsetting.
Mate, that'd have been a mad weekend.
That would have been heck. I mean, I'd have been dead by the end of it, but my God, it would have been great. But let's talk about as well, because, you know, we mentioned before how hectic you are always at the minute. And then on top of that, you're in a band as well.
Yeah.
So how did that come first, or did the wrestling come first?
So I started... I started playing guitar when I was like 9, 10. So music's always been a big passion of mine. Like, I've sort of been playing guitar on and off for 14 years.
Sure.
And everyone's like, oh my God, you must be so good. And I'm like, no, I'm terrible. But yeah, as I say, like, music's always been like up there as something I'm very, very passionate about. Like, I started my first band when we were like 13. And we'd go and play like youth centres, and we'd go and play like, there was in Cleethorpes there was like a kids theme park called Pleasure Island,
right? And
they had like a family bar, so we'd go and play the family bar and youth centres and things like that, and we'd just go and play like, we were practically a pop punk cover band.
Nice.
So it was literally like 13, 14-year-old kids playing songs and doing covers of tracks that you can skate to, because like I was a big skater like when I was younger.
Sure.
And then that sort of evolved into like, you know, people go away, people move to uni. You end up like when you're in a band at 14, it's very rare that you'll all sort of stay together. So we kind of like that disbanded, and then me and the drummer stayed in touch, and we started writing stuff together, and we ended up forming like this 3-piece like more grunge band when we were like 17, 18, and we could play sort of actual pubs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just like family friendly like PG shows. It was like we could go and play the rock bars in Grimsby, and we can go and travel out of town and play little day festivals and stuff like that. And like we got our first we released our first EP together, so that was a really cool experience. And then I went off to uni, and my drummer Jack started like he was like full time working. And he's always had his head screwed on. Like I'm 23 now, and it's a case of like I still don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But like my friend Jack had always like since we left school, he was like apprenticeship, job, house, marriage, kids, 2 dogs. I'm like, okay, that's what you want. Like everyone's got a dream. But yeah, for me, I've always been very much like go with the flow, and wherever life takes me, I'll end up. And but yeah, so from there, we sort of me and the lad I was at uni with, he was a friend that I've known since I was about 12. We formed like an electronic rock band.
Nice.
We were intercity, and we had a lot of like radio attention. Like we had a lot of BBC play, and then we went over and did Intercity did a BBC Live lounge in Hull, like for Radio Humberside, and that was a really cool experience. And again, like things just fade and fizzle, and like you still want to make music, but like maybe like, you know, the bassist wants to go off in a different direction. You're like, oh well, we're not really feeling that. Like we want to go more like this. So then like we started a new band, and that's the band that we're in now, and we're called Orphan, and it's more sort of hardcore, like deathcore, like screamo music, like the stuff that I'd listened to when I was like, you know, a little emo kid. Anything to sort of, you know, start a mosh pit and things like that, which is really cool because like when promotions like in wrestling say, oh, have you got any copyright free music? Because like we're signed up with say like Powered 4 TV, and we really need like copyright free stuff for this show because it's being filmed and it's being published. And I'm like, we can use my band.
Yeah,
like,
easy.
Yeah.
A bit of self-promotion as well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Like that's what I'm interested in, is the fact that, you know, you mentioned sort of the evolution of your music career there, and the sort of different bands you've been in. It seems like you've got quite like an eclectic taste music-wise. Like, who are your like favourite bands, just generally?
Oh, it's mad. Like I've been described as like the only person that Lucy knows that can literally vibe to anything. So it really is just where the mood takes me.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to start getting ready because I've got to head off to work.
No, it's all right. No worries.
But yeah, like it's mad. So like one minute, like I'll be in the gym and I'll be like listening to old school sort of emo throwback bangers, and it's like, you know, Taking Back Sunday and Hawthorne Heights and The Used and stuff like that. And like I went and saw Bring Me the Horizon recently.
Nice, yeah.
Genuinely one of the best gigs I've ever been to in my life. Like,
I missed that one. I injured my foot. I couldn't go. I was meant to go at the O2 when they played that one. I couldn't, and I was gutted.
I saw him in Sheffield, and it was a blinding show. But I'm always like, we went to Slam Dunk.
Nice.
And Slam Dunk was sick. I'm a big sort of fan of like Download Festival and places like that. But then like Lucy will come in from work, and I'll be sat there like, or I'll be in the shower and it'll be like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. It'll be
very
like
different.
Limp Bizkit, Eminem, or it'll be. I've been on. So my uncle posted a video of him and his daughter like having a bit of a dance, and in the background was Night Fever by the Bee Gees. So like for the past 3 days, it's been like the Bee Gees. It's been Toto. It's been like proper like Marillion, Kaylee. Like it's been like old school sort of like 80s and 70s bangers. So honestly, like my music taste will go anywhere and everywhere, just because I just love music.
Sure. No, fair enough. Well, I appreciate that you got to get off. We've got one final section here just for a bit of fun that we do called The Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler, and this is more about you sort of shoot-wise. Okay. rather than Scotty Rawk, the wrestler. So I'll pose a few questions to you, and you let me know what the answers are. The first one is my favourite pre-show meal.
Legit, like as I say, since I've taken nutrition and stuff seriously, I'm a big fan of yogurts and granola.
Nice, healthy.
I love a good protein yogurt and granola, a bit of fruit cut up in there. Like it's just like it's one of those meals that like it gets the jobs done and sort of it's relatively healthy, but it's also really enjoyable. Like I love a strawberry yogurt and some chocolate granola with some cut up apples. Lovely stuff.
Nice. And the opposite one is your favourite post-show pig out.
Papa John's.
Oh, Papa John's. I've never got into Papa John's. I'm more of a Domino's guy.
Nah, Papa John's my boy. Like, that garlic dip, man. Like,
what'd you get? What'd you get on it?
So me and Lucy get a large stuffed crust margarita.
Nice.
We get the veggie chicken bites, and we get some garlic and cheese sticks.
Nice. Strong order.
Yeah.
Next one is the song that gets me most hyped.
Again, it's a weird one. I don't think it's one you'd expect, but Fight Music by D12. You know, Eminem's band.
Yeah.
Fight Music D12. That's like incredible hype music.
Yeah, I didn't expect that, but that's a good choice. Generally, the next one is sort of like what we picked up on there, but if you had to pick, next one is my favourite band.
While She Sleeps.
Good choice, solid choice again. Yeah.
Again, like I saw them at Slam Dunk when they headlined the Jaeger stage, and their set there was just absolutely blinding.
Nice, yeah. I've heard they're good live.
One of the best bands I've ever seen live. Like they're up there. It was While She Sleeps and Bring Me the Horizon. Like they're two of the best bands I've ever seen.
Awesome. Next one is the movie I'd show the locker room.
The movie what? Sorry.
The movie that I'd show the locker room.
I'm a big fan of the View Askew universe. You know, like Kevin Smith.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think my favorite sort of Kevin Smith movie is probably Dogma.
Right. Yeah.
Dogma's just a great film.
My first job.
I worked in Witherspoons. I was a Witherspoons kitchen boy.
Nice. How was that?
Absolutely horrendous. Exactly how you'd think it'd be. I was literally like, I liked to describe myself as an underwater ceramics technician, which was my fancy way of saying I wash pots.
That's nice. That sounds a lot more impressive, though.
Yeah, I mean, like when you're sort of 16, 17 and you're walking, you're like, yeah, I'm an underwater ceramics technician. I'm like, what's that? It's like, I wash Witherspoon's plates.
The next one is my greatest fear.
We're going to get a little bit deep. I think I suffer with depression and anxiety. My greatest fear is not being genuine.
Sure. Okay.
And like, you know, you have those moments where, you know, everyone has off days, don't they? Everyone has days where they're not really feeling themselves. And like my greatest fear is someone catching me on a bad day and me not acting myself and maybe acting like a bit of a prick and leaving a bit of a sour taste in their mouth.
Sure.
And that's it. That's their opinion of me. Like they think that I'm a prick because, you know, they've caught me in that off moment. So like, I like to always try and be as genuine as I can. And you know, you want to be the kindness that you want to see in the world.
No, I get that. I totally get that. Next one, a couple of wrestling ones. My favourite wrestling match ever.
The TLC match, one of the first TLC matches. The Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys.
Yeah, classic.
As I say, I've always had like the love for the Hardy Boys. I've always been a lover of sort of extreme wrestling. Other than that, like Mick Foley versus Edge, WrestleMania 22.
That's a great match. Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. Like they're my two sort of. If I ever want to remind myself of why I got into wrestling, it's those two matches that I'll watch.
Nice. Next one is for you specifically. My dream wrestling match.
I've been watching a lot of like old school TNA, like Ultimate X matches, because they were phenomenal. Sort of back in the early 2000s and sort of mid 2000s, when you had people like, you know, Christopher Daniels and Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, AJ Styles was on the roster still. So like an Ultimate X match would be really cool. But I mean, who doesn't want to work Chris Jericho?
Yeah.
Like Chris Jericho would be like my dream match.
For sure. Last two, and then I can let you head off. My favourite place in the world.
My bed.
A solid choice. Everyone's gone locations so far, and that's a way better choice. Yeah.
No, definitely my bed. Fresh bedding. Maybe we've got some like lavender scented candles on, and the lighting's really low. Like maybe we've got a horror film on. But yeah, definitely my bed. When I'm not here, there, and everywhere. When I'm not at work. When I'm not wrestling. When I'm not at the gym. Chances are I'm in bed.
Nice, brilliant. And the last one is my dream holiday destination.
Australia. I'd love to go to Australia. I've always said I wanted to go to Australia, just because I'm a massive. Like I find marine life very calming.
Sure.
I've always found like, you know, anything underwater has always really interested me. So if ever I'm having a bit of a mental health do or anything like that, like. Chances are I'm watching a David Attenborough documentary.
Nice.
About like Blue Planet or something. So my goal in life is I want to go to the Great Barrier Reef.
Nice, that's a good goal to have. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Brilliant, Scotty Rawk. Thanks so much for your time, mate. I really appreciate it, and I'll let you get on with your day and get to work. But
sorry, it's been a little bit rushed towards the end there.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I totally understand. You've got places to be, but I really appreciate you taking the time, especially as you're so busy. Thanks for chatting wrestling and opening up so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a great chat, and I hope you enjoyed it as well.
No, I have. Thank you so much for having me.
No, I really appreciate your time.